Hey everybody, my name is Philip Jordan, host of the Talking SEC podcast. And if you want some more SEC content, please go down in the description below, find the links, and you can check out the full edition of this episode. Joining me on the phone right now is Jake Crane, host of the J-Boy Show, and you can hear the J-Boy Show on the Believe Podcast Network. So now, of course, Auburn, and man, you were all over on Twitter during the coaching search and everything, and nobody saw Bryan Harsin coming in as being the head coach. I mean, with all the other stuff you would see on message boards, Twitter, whatever, people mentioning names and what was going on there, and that's old news. But this new staff coming in, and look, I'll be honest, and look, I'm a guy I write about Auburn for Last Word College Football. I've been watching this conference for a while. I like the Derek Mason hire. I will say that at defense coordinator. I don't hate Mike Bobo as the offense coordinator, but it's not like somebody I guess I would have said, yeah, that's great, because I don't know. I got a lot of Georgia friends, and they kind of, I remember them frustrated with Bobo. But for you, not me, not worrying about what my thoughts are here, but you, Bobo and Derek Mason, do you think Harsin knocked it out of the park with those two hires?
I think they're really good hires. And what I think, obviously, Derek Mason, you know what you're getting, a guy that knows the lay of the land, guy that has relationships with high school coaches, not only on the West Coast where he's really from, but now that he's been at Vanderbilt and recruiting the Southeast for so long. And that was a big part of what I think Bryan Harsin had to do coming in from the outside. I think Mike Bobo in that same discussion, obviously huge in the state of Georgia, will always be able to recruit a quarterback, has great relationships with high school coaches all over the Southeast, not just in the state of Georgia, and knows where to go, knows where Auburn can have success in certain states, which it's all a race for efficiency. And if you're Bryan Harsin, you'd much rather have some of the puzzle put together than have to come in and put the puzzle pieces together from scratch. So I think that's a big part. Offensively, Mike Bobo, I think it's going to be a blend a little bit of what he's done with what Bryan Harsin wants to do. I think you're going to see the outside zone, the stretch that Harsin loves, with the gap scheme and the intricate play action passing game, the use of the tight end that Mike Bobo is known for, which is going to be a refreshing thing for Auburn fans. We haven't had a tight end catch passes really since Lutzenkirchen. And At the end of the day, I think you've got a guy that can develop quarterbacks. And with a guy like Bo Nix that's returning, Mike Bobo, a guy that developed Matt Stafford, Aaron Murray, Jake Fromm, you go down the list through his whole career. He was a quarterback, and I think that mix of him and Bryan Harsin will be the best thing for Bo Nix. And you have Tank Bigsby returning as well, so you can build a run game around that. But the biggest question is up front. Are they going to be able to plug and place guys from the portal? Because there's not a ton of tackle talent on the roster per se. They got a bunch of guards, but that's one area of personnel they've really got to fix. But I do think that Harsin did a great job hiring his staff. I was surprised he didn't keep Travis Williams. I thought he might keep him. He did retain Cadillac. But again, it's his show. It's got to be done his way, and I think he did that with these hires.
Yeah, look, I think the last two quarterbacks, Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham, I've turned into, and some of my friends have called me this, the Auburn quarterback apologist, because I was always about Jarrett Stidham. I said he's a talent, but there's issues, offensive line and maybe play calling. And I said the same thing with Bo Nix. Both of them quarterbacks, I see the same traits from both of them. They would leave the pocket way too early, but that's because maybe there's no trust in the offensive line. But with Bo Nix, is it, from what you've seen of him, is it just the fundamentals? If he can get that fixed, staying in the pocket, setting his feet, the fundamental things, is that one of the things that maybe that can take him to the next step? Or is there other things with Bo Nix's game that he needs to do to, like I said, take that next step? Which I know offensive line, you got to get that fixed as well. That's been a struggle for Auburn.
Yeah.
But Bo Nix going to year 3, I mean, this is a long question, I know, but basically, with Bobo, with Harsin, and Bo Nix himself, if he's going to take that next step to the next level in his third year, what do you think he needs to do?
Oh, well, you said it. He's got to be able to stay in the pocket, trust himself, set his feet, be able to scan the field, be able to go through more than one progression, be able to hang in there, and it's not too bad to be able to throw the check down. You watch Tom Brady kill you with 1,000 check downs. It's a lot better to be in 2nd and 5 than it is 2nd and 10. It changes the way defenses have to play against you. But it also, I think it'll eliminate some of the turnovers in his game that happen typically when he's scrambling, especially when he's scrambling to his left. But being able to trust the offensive line is a big part, and that's been a big problem for Auburn. You said it. Everybody knows it. Being able to protect him, he's, the clock in his head's all over the place. But I do think with the play action game and now being able to go under center and in the gun and mix that up, I think that'll keep pass rushers a little bit behind. That's why they got to be able to run the ball, because if you can run the ball, you can play action people, and play action really slows down the pass rush. Even if it's two-man combinations or anything, you can get away with it. And I think that'll protect Bo Nix a little bit. And I think what Mike Bobo and them will do is say, listen, you don't have to do it all, man. You can get in the business of throwing the ball away. You're athletic. We can run you. You can take off and scramble for first downs through the pocket, and all that stuff's great. But you can't just wheel it and deal it out here and take off when you want to and do this, that, and the other. You've got to play within the system. You've got to play within the pocket until you have to leave it. And I think that'll help him develop and really calm down, because I think he is an accurate passer, and he does have great anticipation.
Yeah, this will be my final question, on Auburn, and we'll move on to the next topic. But with this offense they're going to run with, like you said, with Harsin and Bobo, and obviously it's going to be different than what they ran under Gus Malzahn. Do you see that maybe they will give more trust to the quarterback at the line of scrimmage than what you would see under a Gus Malzahn offense, which basically was, a lot of times they look over at line of scrimmage and they change the play and they do it like that. But do you think Bo Nix or whoever's playing quarterback in the future at Auburn under this coaching staff would have more control or more responsibilities at the line of scrimmage?
That's a good question. I think they will, but you got to earn it. You got to prove that you know the system inside and out before you can go changing things. And most of the time in college, it's changes in the run game. You're not going to get a ton of changes in pass calls. You brought up the check with me stuff they did under Gus Malzahn, where you fake snap and look to the sideline and get a play after you've seen the defense adjust. But again, what I think you will see is Auburn will be operating out of heavier personnel more, and they'll be able to use that heavy personnel more in the passing game. You say, okay, well, what does that really have to do with the question? Well, it has to do a ton with it, because what you can start doing is out leveraging people. And if you're Bo Nix and we've got, whatever the power call to the left, to the field, and you line up and you see, hey, wait a minute, they're in an under front. We got them over leveraged to the backside, and we're in 12 personnel, which means you got two tight ends out there. Well, heck, I'm just going to flip the play to the other side, and we're going to run to where the numbers stay and where the leverage dictates. So small things like that and being able to keep teams off balance. I think Auburn kind of fell in love with certain personnel in certain places too much and running the same plays, so they aren't able to disguise anything. I think the book was kind of out on Malzahn, and the problem with what Auburn used to do is if the run game wasn't there, you really had no chance, because the pass game wasn't intricate enough to be able to confuse people if it wasn't off an RPO or a busted coverage or something like that. So I do think whoever it is, will have the ability to check more at the line for the run game, but you got to be able to show the whole offense before you get in there and start adding stuff to the sauce.